The discussion over who is the greatest basketball player of all time is full of what ifs. What if Julius Erving got to play against Michael Jordan? What if Michael Jordan got to play against LeBron James? What if Derrick Rose never got injured? But perhaps the biggest what if of all is what if Oscar Schmidt, known in Brazil as the Holy Hand, played in the NBA? For kids in the United States, Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan, and LeBron James come to mind when thinking about basketball players to look up to. But for the millions of basketball fans in Brazil, Oscar Schmidt was their role model. A 6'9", 240-pound big man from Natal, Rio Grande do Norte, Brazil, Oscar Daniel Bezerra Schmidt is considered to be the highest all-time scorer in basketball history, scoring a total of 49,737 career points between his time in pro club league play and Brazilian national team. His scoring record beats Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's already ridiculous NBA scoring record of over 38,387 points, and he beats it by over 10,000. Not only that, but Schmidt surpasses even the most tenured NBA players of all time, including Vince Carter, LeBron James, and Karl Malone, for longest basketball career span, with a career spanning 29 years. Named one of FIBA's top 50 greatest players of all time, Oscar Schmidt has had a legendary career and put on incredible displays of scoring prowess since the 1970s. Despite all of this, Schmidt hardly gets the recognition that he deserves. Even the most die-hard basketball fans in the US and Canada have probably never heard of him. But after hearing about all that he has done, the only logical question is why? Why did Oscar Schmidt never play in the NBA when we know he had the skill, the size, and the power to compete with anyone in the world? To answer this question, we need to start back at the beginning. Oscar was born in Brazil in a time when basketball didn't nearly have the cultural significance in Brazil that it has today. Growing up, most kids around Oscar didn't want to play soccer, and there was hardly any way for a basketball prodigy to stand out. Despite this, Schmidt picked up a basketball from a very young age, and while his friends were at the soccer field, he was practicing his shot. He got so good that at just 16 years old, Oscar joined the SE Palmeiras youth basketball club, where he began his very long and successful career. Even as a young teenager, Schmidt dominated, scoring 2,114 points in just 85 games, with an average of almost 25 points per game. His team ended up winning the Sao Paulo State Championship in 1974 and the Brazilian Championship in 1977. Not long after, he joined the Mackenzie College basketball team and took his already incredible scoring abilities to a whole other level, averaging 37 points a game with a total of 1,332 points over 36 games. By 1982, Oscar was a well-established basketball legend in Brazil and was getting attention internationally as well. When he got the opportunity to join the Italian second division club Juve Caserta, he accepted and went to Italy. There he played in the first division of the Italian league as well as other European leagues at the same time. 2 years later, in 1984, in the same draft that included Michael Jordan, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Charles Barkley, Oscar Schmidt applied for the NBA draft at 26 years of age. Keep in mind that by this time, Schmidt had already been playing basketball professionally for over a decade. He was drafted by the New Jersey Nets as the 131st pick. It was looking like the NBA would finally get this already great Brazilian player to compete against the biggest stars in America. But before Oscar could play his first game, he decided he didn't want to join the NBA. Oscar was offended that he had fell so far down in the draft, saying didn't think the NBA teams respected his accolades and skills. Even more than that though, Brazilian rules stated that if Oscar went to play for the United States, he would never be able to represent the Brazilian national team again. In an interview, Oscar explained his decision further. "I did not play because NBA players were barred from playing for the national team. I was selected in the 6th round in 1984. Come on, man, I was offended. Then I went there just to show them what they will lose. I was there for 2 weeks, one for practice and the other played 5 games. They gave me 25 minutes per game, I gave them 25 points per game." Amazingly, Oscar also said that he would be taking a huge pay cut if he had joined the NBA, stating that he made significantly more money playing in Italy. So, faced with having to choose between his country and his NBA dreams, Oscar decided he would not join the NBA. 3 years later, Brazil and the United States met in the 1987 Pan American Games to compete for a gold medal. Oscar knew that this game would be his chance to show the world that he was one of the best and would compete with anyone. The game didn't start off the way Oscar would have liked, and things were getting out of hand quickly. By the end of the first half, Brazil was losing 68-54, and it seemed as though the US would blow Brazil out. Oscar, however, wasn't about to give up. And one of the greatest single-person performances ever, Oscar turned into an offensive machine in the second half, scoring 35 just in the third and fourth quarters. With Oscar at the lead, Brazil was victorious against the United States team with a final score of 120-115. At night, Oscar proved to the whole world that he was an all-time great. In 1988, Oscar once again proved his greatness and led his team to an Italian Cup victory. Shortly after, Oscar scored 44 points in the 1988-89 FIBA European Cup Winners' Cup final, but fell just short against a talented Real Madrid team, losing 113-117. In his 7 years with Juve Caserta, Oscar led the Italian top division in scoring 6 times, and his jersey number was eventually retired. After his time there, Oscar took his talents to another Italian team, joining Pavia in 1990, and went on to score multiple scoring titles. In his time with Pavia, Oscar set the record for the most points in a single game, scoring an astonishing 66 points in a 1991 game against Auxilium Torino. It's in his time in Italy that Oscar met Kobe Bryant, an NBA great that needs no introductions from us. As a young child, Kobe looked up to Oscar, and in interviews later in life said that Oscar was his basketball idol growing up. Kobe even said that he thought Oscar would have been one of the greatest NBA players of all time if he had played in the league. Now, the Holy Hand was looked up to by basketball fans not just in Brazil, but in Italy and all around the world as well. In 1993, at 35 years old, an age where most players start looking at retirement, Oscar set off on a new journey and decided to join the Spanish ACB League. In his first season with the Spanish team, Oscar led the league in scoring, averaging over 33 points a game. The next season, he set a single game scoring high in the league with 47 points and 8 of 8 shooting from 3 points. Now keep in mind, Oscar was making more threes as a big man than most guards in the NBA even attempted. After 2 seasons in Spain with 28.3 per game and 2,000 total points over 71 games, the Holy Hand returned to Brazil to play in the Brazilian Basketball Championship, known as the BBC. Playing with multiple teams in the next 8 years, Oscar had incredible single-game scoring highs, including the mind-blowing 74-point performance in Sao Paulo State Championship in 1997. He was the league-leading scoring in each of his 8 seasons and had his jersey retired by the team he finished his career with, the CR Flamengo. Now, it's easy to see why Brazilians and Europeans around the world idolized Oscar's basketball abilities. From an era where tall players were expected just to get rebounds and not take long shots, Oscar broke all the rules in incredible fashion. Even though he was 6'9", he knew that his shooting and scoring abilities were too good for him to restrict himself to the paint. Oscar was an incredible three-point shooter, having countless games with more than 5 three-pointers made, including one game with 11 made. Oscar was later inducted into the Italian Basketball Hall of Fame, the FIBA Hall of Fame, and the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame. He was an incredible player who revolutionized the game and had a playing style that was 30 years ahead of his time. He had amazing talent not only in scoring but in passing as well, leading many to call him the Brazilian Larry Bird and the greatest basketball player to never make the NBA.